In the wake of the fall, the ancient Eldari civilization was reduced to a broken diaspora, their empire destroyed by the aftershock of Slaanesh's inception. And yet, those adherents of the pleasure cults hidden in the settlements within the webway remained all but untouched, protected by the nature of the webway's substance from the soul thirst of the newborn Chaos God. Great swaths of the labyrinth dimension itself were shattered into ruin, but many of those Eldari who had built personal empires in and around Comorak survived the birth of Slaanesh. The echoes of the new god's arrival had wrought insidious changes within them, changes whose horrific nature would not be fully comprehended until later. But the Comorite Eldari had escaped destruction. In their supreme arrogance, they did not cease their quest for excess or pleasure, even for a moment. Repentance and atonement were alien concepts to a people who acknowledge no limits to their power. The Eldari sealed within the webway had not escaped the fall, though this horror would only dawn on them slowly. Rather than having their essence consumed in one great draught, their souls were slowly draining away into the warp, consumed over time by Slaanesh, rather than all at once. Where the craftworld Eldari learned to deny its hold upon them using the mystical spirit stones and infinity circuits, as well as the strictures of the Asuriani path to deny the pull of their darker impulses, the Comorite Eldari became expert at ensuring that lesser intelligence beings suffered in their stead. Provided they steeped themselves in the most extreme and decadent acts, the Eldari of the webway found that the curse of Slaanesh could be abated. The psychic agony of others nourished their withered souls and kept them vital and strong, filling their frames with unnatural energies. Assuming they could feed regularly enough, the webway dwellers became physically immune to the passage of time, thus using this parasitic immortality to hold off their deaths indefinitely. And so it was that the Drukhari were born, sadistic, psychic parasites who subsist upon the anguish of others in order to prevent the slow death of their immortal souls. 10,000 Terran years later, in the 41st millennium, Slaanesh's thirst pulls at them still. There truly is no escape. The Drukhari have unwittingly doomed themselves, exchanging a horrific but mercifully swift end for an eternity of ghoulish starvation. To this day, the Drukhari raid the galaxy from the canker upon creation that is Comorak, sowing misery and destruction wherever they emerge, and spiriting away countless captives to their lairs for their own horrible ends. They are masters of torture and degradation, for the longer a Drukhari can drag out the punishment and agony of a captive of any sentient race, the greater the psychic nourishment that can be derived from it. A Drukhari who has recently fed upon the torment of others shines with a cold and startling aura, their physical form restored to perfection even as the spirit within festers. One who is starved of such energies for long enough will become a shadow, desperately hunting for a taste of pain with which to stave off the gnawing pangs in the depths of their soul. The Drukhari possess no psychics among their people, despite possessing the same innate psychic potential as other Eldari. Even within the protective confines of the webway, the threat of drawing the attention of Slaanesh to the mind of a potent psyker is simply too great a risk. Then we have the Harlequins. The Harlequins are the strangest and most enigmatic of all the Eldari factions. They are warrior acrobats, battlefield performers, who make no distinction between war and art, and whose breathtaking feats of agility and violence make them the terror of all those they face. Using the hidden paths of the webway, the masks of the Harlequins strike without warning and kill without mercy. The Harlequins are superlative battlefield artists, yet there are more than just warriors. Every one of them is a devoted servant of Kagorag, the Laughing God, the only Eldari deity said to have survived the birth of Slaanesh fully intact. While depicted as an enigmatic and sinister trickster whose deeds are far from altruistic, Kagorag is also the sworn enemy of the dark gods of chaos, and of Slaanesh in particular. The Harlequins have fought to exact Kagorag's vengeance upon she who thirsts for the destruction of the ancient Eldari civilization for Terran millennia. After its birth, each Eldari faction found different ways to stave off the soul thirst of the Dark Prince. The Asuryani make use of spirit stones in the infinity circuit of their craft worlds, while the Drukhari are psychic vampires, ghoulishly preserving their own immortality by basking in the psychic emanations of torture and suffering. The Harlequins, by contrast, require no such spiritual defenses. When a Harlequin falls, Kagorag instantly snatches their souls away, thus denying Slaanesh its feast. How this can be and what fate awaits those souls within the grasp of the Laughing God are secrets that the Harlequins have never deigned to share with the rest of their race. They strike without warning, wreaking devastation before vanishing as suddenly as they came. They have slaughtered zealous cults, assassinated mighty chaos champions, and undone countless foul plans before they could manifest. Sometimes these actions have saved the worlds of other races, most commonly of humanity, but there is no kindness in their deeds. They are every bit as ineffable and enigmatic as the deity they worship, and if they are concerned with the survival of any species in the galaxy, ultimately it is their own. The duties of the masks of the Harlequins extend beyond warfare. Every one is a performer, versed in the mythic cycles of the Eldari and the countless allegorical tales that stem from them. The masks travel endlessly through the interstitial dimension known as the Webway, moving between craft worlds, exodite worlds, and the dark city of Comorak freely. Wherever they go, they ply their performing arts, combining music, dance, ritual combat, nuanced oration, and the breathtaking suite of illusory and psychoactive effects to captivate Eldari audiences. They perform for more than mere entertainment. Every show they put on is a lesson and a cautionary tale, a fragment of the culture of the ancient Eldari presented as a reminder and a warning to their modern descendants. The most important dance that the Harlequins perform is the Tale of the Fall, the monstrous spiritual apocalypse during which Slaanesh was birthed and the Eldari all but annihilated. Their vivid performances ensure the horrors of that time will never be forgotten and its mistakes never repeated. They have other duties and service to their god as well. They stalk the webway, seeking to excise the taint of chaos and alien invasion wherever it is found. They guard the vast repository of forbidden chaos lore kept within the secret craft world known as the Black Library, preventing its dangerous secrets from falling into the hands of those who would do great harm with them. The Harlequins also act as ambassadors, for they alone can travel freely through all the dimensions of the Eldari factions. When needs must, they have brokered uneasy deals between the Asuriani of the craftworlds and the Drukhari of Comorak, bidding their kin put aside their differences in order to fight for their people's future. Now, though, the Harlequins face a new peril. The webway, always a fractured and hazardous realm, has been sorely damaged by the opening of the Great Rift. Alien invaders and chaos-worshipping interlopers spill through its sundered gates in numbers never before seen, endangering all that the Harlequins are and all they strive to achieve. As the danger grows greater, so the masks become ever more vicious and manipulative, calling in favors long owed and committing whatever atrocities they must in the name of the Laughing God. They have a higher purpose, a final act they mean to see performed in full, to the eternal detriment of she who thirsts, and they will pay whatever blood price they must in order to see their work complete.